The day began long before it announced itself properly. In the quiet half-light of early morning, the house seemed to hold its breath. It was the first full week of the school holidays, and the usual structure of mornings had dissolved into something looser, more hopeful, but also more demanding. Travel days required a different kind of attention, one that started early and moved carefully. Downstairs, the mother moved through the kitchen with practiced ease. The kettle clicked on. Cups were lined up, though only one would be properly used. She glanced at the clock, then at the lists pinned to the fridge, already creased from handling. Packing had started days ago, then intensified the night before, but this final sweep was essential. She moved from room to room, touching things lightly, as if counting them by feel. Clothes were checked for weather sense rather than fashion. Jumpers were added, despite optimistic forecasts. Pajamas were folded, with the quiet understanding that nights away often ran colder than expected. There were medicines, nappies, spare nappies, and spare nappies. Sun cream went into the bag, was taken out, then replaced after a moment's thought. Upstairs, the house grew louder. The 6-year-old was already dressed, sitting cross-legged on her bed, narrating her excitement to the air. She spoke about mountains as if they were acquaintances she had yet to meet. She had decided she would recognize Wales immediately. She practiced spotting imaginary sheep through the window. The 3-year-old trailed behind her, clutching a soft toy by one ear. She asked questions that came faster than answers could be formed. How long was Wales? Would the car know when it arrived? Did mountains sleep at night? Each question folded neatly into the next. The 1-year-old watched it all from her cot, wide-eyed and delighted. Movement meant adventure. Shoes meant going out. Bags meant something big was happening. When she was finally lifted into waiting arms, she laughed, a bright bubbling sound that echoed down the stairs. Outside, the car waited patiently. The boot stood open as bags were loaded with the careful logic of necessity and experience. Suitcases were angled just so. The pram went in sideways. A box of food was wedged into a space that didn't seem possible until it was done. The boot closed with a reassuring weight. They pulled away as London stretched awake. The early roads were calm, the city still soft around the edges. Familiar streets slipped past, rows of houses, parked cars, shop shutters down. Traffic lights blinked their quiet instructions. Slowly, the city loosened its grip, replaced by wider roads and longer views. Inside the car, the rhythm of travel settled in. The radio came on, became background, then center stage. A song played that the 6-year-old loved immediately. She sang loudly and confidently, inventing lyrics where memory failed her. The 3-year-old objected. She wanted a different song, preferably one with drums or animals. The station changed, then changed again. The volume rose, then fell. Negotiations took place with the seriousness of international diplomacy. Eventually, a playlist emerged that satisfied no one completely, and therefore worked well enough. The motorway carried them north and west. The 1-year-old drifted into sleep, head tipping gently with each curve of the road. The older two counted bridges, then lorries, then sheep once fields began to open out. Fields stretched wider now, stitched together by hedgerows. The sky seemed taller here, more generous. Conversation ebbed and flowed. Plans were made aloud, revised, then forgotten. Time passed in small, manageable sections. The petrol light blinked on just as the children began asking about food. The petrol station appeared at exactly the right moment, rising from the road like a practical island. The car pulled in. The father filled the tank while the smell of fuel hung briefly in the air. Inside, coffee was ordered, snacks debated, and more snacks quietly added. The children pressed noses to the windows, watching cars glide in and out. The service station buzzed with movement. Families, couples, solo travelers, all intersecting briefly before scattering again. Sandwiches were unwrapped at a table near the window. Crisps were shared and dropped. The 1-year-old contributed by drumming on the table. The 6-year-old announced hunger with theatrical urgency. The 3-year-old ate 2 bites, declared herself finished, then reached for someone else's lunch. Hands were washed, shoes were retied. The journey resumed. Back on the road, the landscape began to shift more noticeably. The motorway loosened into gentler roads. The land rose and dipped with greater confidence. Hills gathered in the distance, no longer shy about their presence. The air seemed clearer when the windows opened, cooler, carrying the scent of grass and earth. The first glimpse of Snowdonia arrived without ceremony. At first it was simply a change in the horizon, a darker line, uneven and deliberate. Then, unmistakably, mountains emerged. Their slopes were broad and calm, their peaks softened by drifting cloud. Grey rock showed through green, ancient and unhurried. The 6-year-old spotted them and fell quiet, eyes wide. The 3-year-old followed her gaze and whispered questions. The radio was turned down without discussion. The roads narrowed now. They curved gently at first, then more insistently, winding through valleys and around hillsides. Stone walls traced the edges of the land, guiding the road like careful hands. The car slowed, responding instinctively. They crossed bridges, small sturdy spans over clear rivers that moved with purpose. Water flashed beneath them, catching light and shadow. Streams threaded through fields, silver ribbons winding towards something unseen. Each turn revealed something new, a sudden view opening wide, a steep slope falling away. Sheep scattered lazily across the road, unconcerned by schedules. The car followed the curves, rising and falling with the land. Windows were lowered further. The air rushed in, cool and fresh, carrying the distant sound of water and wind. The 1-year-old woke and stared, absorbing shapes and movement she could not yet name. The older 2 pressed close to the windows, pointing out bridges, rivers and mountains with equal excitement. When the final petrol stop came, it felt almost ceremonial. A small station nestled against the hills. The car pulled in. The pump clicked steadily. The mountains stood nearby, watching without interest. Inside there was laughter at the novelty of it, filling up so close to somewhere that felt untouched. The final stretch was slower, more deliberate. The road became narrow and intimate, bending to the will of the land. Another bridge, another stream. The sound of water grew clearer. Houses appeared in clusters, then disappeared again. When the Airbnb finally came into view, it felt less like arrival and more like belonging. The car stopped, doors opened, the children spilled out, energy renewed. The 1-year-old was lifted, laughing as her hair caught the breeze. Bags were unloaded and dropped wherever hands tired. Inside the house was cool and quiet. Windows framed the mountains like living paintings. Outside, a river murmured somewhere nearby, unseen but present. For a moment, the adults stood still. The drive, with its lists, its music arguments, its petrol stops and winding roads, had done exactly what it was meant to do. Beyond the walls, Snowdonia waited, vast and patient, settled into its ancient rhythm as the family began their time among it.